We're going to take you through an exact roadmap to get to a sustainable body transformation. So if you want to lose weight, if you want to build muscle, we're going to break it down into a simplest form. And our aim is to show you the stuff that is the easiest to do, the easiest to implement, but it's going to give you the biggest rewards and the biggest changes. So before we kick off, I guess we should introduce ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm Mike. I'm the founder of Kaplar Fitness. We've put hundreds of people through our body transformation process and really refined that to what it is today. You can probably introduce yourself.
Okay, but yeah, I'm Kat, former England rugby player and won the World Cup back in 2014, and I've been a fitness coach for 20 years. Joined forces with Mike and Kaplar about 5 years ago, and as Mike said, we've coached I think nearly 700 people now from all over the world. So great to do.
Yes. So rather than that being a brag, that's more trust what we're saying because we do this every day and we work with people. And so I want to introduce you to my messy model. Don't worry if you can't read all of it, but we're going to talk you through it exactly. But this is essentially the framework we want to go through from going from this is where I have the idea that I want to start to transform my body. I want to lose weight and I want to build muscle, but we're in this chaos and overwhelm where we don't have a plan. And we're going to move towards a sustainable long-term body transformation using these stepping stones along the way. We'll share some client stories so that you can see this practically and how it's implemented. We'll also share some things to look out for and mistakes not to make. So at starting point, this is where the trigger is like one day you decide I'm going to make this change, but you don't know where to do it. So currently you're at a phase where there is no plan for your food, there is no structured training plan, and you're not really sure where to start. I'm going to hand over to Kat, who's going to kick off with section 1 and mindset.
Yeah, so at this point, a lot of people get that they feel they have to change everything at once. So they go, right, I've had enough. I'm going to make a change. I'm going to train 7 days a week. I'm not going to eat cake, sugar, carbs. They just decide they're going to do it all. And inevitably, it's awful. They feel really tired. They give up after a couple of days because, of course, who wants to live that way? So this is all about changing the mindset. So we actually want you to aim lower. Doesn't sound that motivational, but actually it really is, because if you say you're going to do train 7 days a week and you miss one session, you feel rubbish. If you say, actually realistically with my schedule, I'm going to do 3 sessions, you do those 3 sessions, you feel amazing. So it's so much better to aim for something that's realistic and go for that. Same with food, rather than saying, I'm not going to eat a single bit of sugar, then you have one biscuit at a birthday party and suddenly you completely unravel. You're just going to aim to do better. So you're going to say, I'm going to cut down, or I'm going to be more mindful of it. So that mindset shift is what's going to be helpful to making this different from anything you've done before.
Yeah, I think a lot of programs want you to go from 0 to perfect overnight and start to log everything and track everything and do everything and train every day. But that's not the way to do it if you want to sustain it, because you get to the end of your program, you've made some good results, cool, and then you put all the weight back on, you undo all the progress because you've been restricting yourself and pushing yourself too much. We need to find something you can stick to long term. Okay, so do you want to take them through nutrition?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the reason why diets, if you like, fail is because people tend to go overly restrictive. So what we want to do differently is go, there aren't those restrictions, we want to minimize those, and what we want to do instead is we're going to focus on having more, not less. So instead of I must be under my calories, I must not have this, we're saying I'm going to get more protein into my diet so I can feel fuller, and I'm going to get more veg in, so you can get lots of micronutrients with that as well, rather than that negative thinking. So it's positive, can I get enough protein in, can I try more fruit, more veg? So what we do on our program, so this really sticks, is the first week, all we do is we get clients to take a photo of everything that they eat and drink. And when I drop that little bombshell, they always react the same way. They're like, because they know they've got to be accountable and they've got to think about it. We're not saying you can have whatever you like, you've just got to be accountable for what you're having, and it just makes you start to think about what you're doing ahead of having it. So it gets rid of that snacking while you're cooking, which we're guilty of. It gets rid of the clearing the kids' plate because they've left the sides or something and you're just grabbing them. It gets rid of that unconscious decision making for eating. So after that, then we go into meal planning. Once we've established what we're already doing, we have areas that we can improve, and we aim to keep this really, really simple. So we're talking portion sizes, colours on plate, getting all the basics right, and making sure it's nice and easy to do before we go anywhere near tracking or calories and macros. Because one of the biggest complaints that I get for people coming in from other programs, they had to track straight away, they went over one day, they got annoyed and they gave up. So it's really important that you get the foundations and the fundamentals right first.
Yeah, so it's baby steps and building momentum with nutrition. So rather than day one, we're going to track everything. Actually, let's build some good, positive, sustainable habits. And same is true of training. So as we said before, the mindset part, it's not, I'm going to start training every day, I'm going to be running every day. It's like, what is a realistic thing that you can do? And for the majority of people, if you're a busy, stressful job with family and kids, the structured training plan should revolve around resistance training, and it probably should be whole body resistance training days. And the reason we select whole body most of the time over body part splits is that if you plan to go 3 times in that week, but you can only do 2, you've done 2 whole body sessions. So you're still making progress because you've got volume in your whole body. If you split it down into, say, chest, back, legs, shoulders, arms, you go and do chest, you go and do back, you miss the rest of the week, you restart, you go and do chest, you go and do back, maybe you get shoulders, but you're missing body parts every week when you do the kind of traditional pro bodybuilding split. So what we suggest is that whole body session where you're doing 5 or 6 compound movements. So you hit chest, back, shoulders, legs, like hinging, and you get everything in. And if you then can't go to the gym, even that one session is going to guarantee that you make progress. If you're a bit more advanced, you can maybe split it into an upper or lower body or a push-pull legs and rest kind of split. But as a basic structured thing, a minimum of 2 times a week, whole body resistance training with compound movements is going to help you progress more than anything else. And there are people that have been training for years just doing whole body stuff, and they're in insane shape. And that's because they're busy. They've got stuff to do. They want to get to the gym, hit 45 minutes and get out and do it 4 times a week. And that's them. So it doesn't need to be going from 0 to everything. You can do twice a week, and then anything else is a bonus. And the other reason the whole body sessions work so well is you can just slot another one in. So you say, I'm going to go twice. You go on Monday, you go on Wednesday. Oh, actually, I can go on Friday. You can do another whole body session because you've rested. So the split works perfectly, especially for people in beginner or intermediate sort of stages of their body transformation. So mindset's covered. That's basic nutrition, basic training. You see how everything is not too overwhelming, and we're doing this is the first part. Then we spend some time on this. Then we introduce this, and then we start to think about the next phase, which Kat will talk you through now.
Yeah, so lifestyle. So this is everything outside of your training and outside of nutrition. We're not full-time athletes. We've got work. We realistically have time commitments elsewhere. We've got family things to do. So the lifestyle things can be some massive wins. Now, sleep is the first one. We all, like, how many times do you go, I'm so tired, I'm so tired, I'm so tired? People talk about it a lot, but we don't actually do anything to help that. So trying to get better sleep. So realistically, doing something like, I'm gonna have a screen time downtime, and you stick to that. So you say, right, by X amount of time, screen time is down. So it gets rid of that doom scrolling that we all do when we're a bit bored, and then that just keeps us wired and we don't get quality sleep. So the aim would be to gradually increase that sleep quality and going to sleep nice and rested. And then things like steps. So we're not saying you must hit 10,000 steps. What we're saying is there is probably opportunity in your day, even when you're really busy, to get extra steps in. So imagine the accumulative effect of if every time you take the stairs instead of the escalator, that's going to add up, and it has a huge impact on our overall calorie burn. Yes, you can burn calories in the 45 minutes that you're doing in the gym, but think about the rest of the hours in the day. The opportunity to increase that is massive. So also getting in sunlight, really, really important. Something we're also quite guilty of when we're working behind the desk. So getting out and doing that. And then the stress management. So recognizing stress and triggers and what does it, and then having strategies to how to minimize those.
Yes, so all of that contributes to overall energy, and having more energy means you make better decisions. You make better decisions, you get more energy, and it's kind of like an ongoing momentum building thing. I will say at this point that there is a reason that we haven't said exactly what to eat or exactly what to train, and we don't know your exact situation. We don't know your goals or your background exactly, so we don't want to prescribe the wrong stuff for you. If you want more detailed help, you can click the link down in the description and find out if our program and our coaching is a fit for you. So that is if you want one-to-ones help on implementing these aspects, then click that link below, book a call. It's a no pressure sales call. So we'll go through a consultation, find out a bit more about you, tell you about the program. We'll figure out together if it's a good fit. If it is, we'll crack on. If not, you'll leave inspired and with a bit of a plan. So you can't lose. Book in that call now. But take on to advanced tracking. So because we've implemented some basic nutrition stuff and some structured training, the lifestyle stuff's going. So we're feeling good, we're motivated, we're seeing changes, but we want to kind of push on, and we built a bit of momentum. And actually, now's probably a good time to introduce that tracking, which is we don't believe in tracking for the rest of your life. So not tracking every calorie and macro, but we do believe in getting to a point where you understand your portion sizes and what's in the food that you're eating, which means maybe for a few weeks we do track most of the stuff that we're doing. We start by tracking protein, we add tracking calories, and then we add the whole split of carbs, fats, and protein. And that's because at this point, you've got enough momentum to go, I know it's annoying and it's a bit of admin, but we want those results, so we're going to do it. And we'll do this for a period of time. We'll track it. You'll see insane results because when you're being that specific about it, you will make good progress. But you'll get to a point where like, I know this now. I don't need to track all the time. So then we go into a mini audit method. So what we do is we'll say every couple of months you might track for a few days just to make sure your eye's still in on, you can look at that portion and go, I know roughly protein, carbs, and fat. So I'm not going to accidentally like derail my progress by underestimating what I'm eating. The other part of advanced tracking is with this training is really starting to implement progressive overload. So where you're lifting more or you're doing more reps or you're increasing the volume. And the only way to really know that is to track what you're doing. So having a notebook or somewhere where you can document what you're doing with your training and aim to improve that over time. That's something most people find really, really useful and it's not too much of a burden. So I think unlike macro tracking, writing the stuff down that you're doing in the gym is a lot less time consuming. So I'd highly recommend it. You don't need to do it while you're getting started, but once you're feeling comfortable with your workouts and stuff, getting that advanced tracking is going on. Now, I know there will be some coaches out there who in this tracking phase will want you journaling and writing down your daily goals and ticking off your daily goals and having to do this and having a sleep monitor. We think that food and training is probably enough, and this will take care of itself if you just aim to build those habits. So there is such a thing as over tracking. So let's keep it to what we're doing in the gym and what we're eating, and then we'll dial this tracking down. Once we reach this stage, the sustainable body transformation, we'll dial the tracking down to more of an audit and checking in on the food that we eat for a few days at a time. Anything else on advanced tracking?
Yeah, I think just to reiterate what you said is the reason we wait is we want to develop the knowledge of food because it shouldn't be a numbers game, and so often people are just playing the numbers and actually know what food you enjoy, know what's quick and easy to make, know how much time you're willing to commit. I'm very lazy with the kitchen. I don't commit a lot of time, and my nutrition is one that is so easy, and I know the macros that are in it, so it just makes it so much easier to do, which what all of this should be, make it as easy as possible so you do it and then you can build momentum.
Yeah, so to add a bit of context and so for our program, the clients we work with, this advanced tracking can come in week 4, 5, 6. And so you get a really good chunk of time to start to bed in the fundamentals before we think it's the right time to start tracking. Because if you go from chaos and overwhelm to advanced tracking everything, you're going to crash and burn. So that's where we think that sort of stepping stone is the right approach. And the final part I was going to talk about is the habit formation. So all of this stuff is building towards a sustainable body transformation. Now, when you start, in order to get up and running, you need motivation and using willpower. And those things can and will run out at a certain point. So we need to build habit. And the way to do that is you do a positive action, you get a positive result, and you reinforce that this is the right thing to do. And that's what all of this stuff is doing. And so it can take, some people say 30, 60, 90 days to build a habit. But you only have the motivation and willpower for a certain amount of time. So doing all of this stuff and getting more energy from the lifestyle stuff, getting more energy from the sleep, from the nutrition, from the training, is going to lead to you building those habits. And then this happens on autopilot. So this is the bit, the most important part that takes all of this and creates a sustainable body transformation. And what this really comes down to in the habit forming is the shift in identity. So over here, seeing yourself as an unhealthy person who doesn't train and doesn't worry about what they eat, to someone over here who is a healthy person and you see yourself as that healthy person. And so it's easier to make those decisions. If you just put in place these little building blocks, one step at a time, by the time you get here, those habits are being built, the identity is shifting, and that is where you get a true sustainable body transformation, which is why there is no crash dieting, there's no 1200 calories or below, there's no crazy cardio, there's no day one, we're doing all of this sort of stuff. It's a step-by-step process to build habits and have a sustainable body transformation. And as this said here, the way you know that this has worked is you've got the progress, but you're also having guilt-free treats. So when you have like takeaway or drinks with your friends or whatever, you don't feel bad about it because you're mostly under control. And that's how you know it's a sustainable body transformation. You're not missing any social events because you're in control nearly all the rest of the time. That's when you're like, right, I have reached the stage of sustainable body transformation. And that's what we're aiming for. So any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I think that this part is so important because this is what everyone wants to get to. You want to get to a place where you can enjoy yourself and you're in shape. We get a lot of people that at the end are like, oh, I don't stress about this anymore, or it doesn't cause that derail. It's just part of what you do because you're doing that 80-20. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah, I think just to say like the mistakes to avoid and the biggest part that people get wrong is day one is the mindset. So going from zero, from chaos and overwhelm to I'm going to do all of this stuff on day one. So see it as a journey and you'll be a lot more successful with that. As I said before, if you want help implementing this stuff on a one-to-one basis, we don't know your goals and situations, so I don't want to give you exact stuff. But if you click the link and book in a call, we can talk about that situation and start getting a one-to-one plan made for you.